Ooh, how is everyone doing? What's going on? All right, guys, it is another Wednesday in the world of lead generated. We got Neil.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. Got some golf in. I'm good.
How'd you shoot?
I shoot better when I walk the course because I don't want to have to go get the ball.
Yeah, so the shots are like more thought out, huh?
Yep. So
cool.
I'm still a hacker. I got to get out there more often.
Yeah. All right. We've got a lot to go over today. We've got some cool stuff in the making for those who want to participate. As you guys might have seen, we have the accountability stuff we're kind of launching. So we're giving you guys a short time window on this one, unfortunately, because we want to start it on October 1st. And it probably would have been better if we were more prepared in doing this earlier, but that is not the reality. So we're going to go with what we got here, and hopefully we can get a good amount of people to join in, because I'll tell you, I think that it's made a big difference for me to set goals and kind of come up with a plan. You know, if you don't plan things out, you're probably not going to get to where you want to go. So, do we got any wins? Neil, you got any wins? Anyone?
I had a quick one. It's first off, it was a loss because I had a GMB go down, and I wasn't getting any leads, and it's for a good client. I was getting a little nervous, but got reinstated like in 48 hours, and a couple of. I don't need many leads for this client because it's a high-end niche, and I had a couple come in today, so no worries.
Awesome. Yeah, that's super cool, man. It's always nice to get those back quickly. What about Spencer? What's up, brother? He doesn't know how to unmute. There we go.
What's up, dude? I was getting ready to take a drink of water and had to unmute.
I like to do that. I like to throw it out.
Well, man. I'm well. I've had a good day yesterday, man. I learned how to increase the profit in my business by a lot.
That's a good thing.
And yeah, so I think I'm ready to really scale and start really putting some serious websites out there, because that was a big issue in my business.
Very cool. Yeah, that is awesome. So we are kind of going through something the same. I've got Jeff here. A lot of you guys know over the last week, I flew to Austin to gather my belongings and put them inside of a giant truck and then drive that truck to Nashville. And my good buddy Jeff here volunteered to ride with me. So that was a win to just kind of realize there's I've got these bad habits of thinking I should do everything on my own, and starting to rely on my team and my friends. And it's really cool to see the way things have progressed in our agency. It seems like it's moving so fast right now. It's pretty awesome. That's a win for me personally and professionally. I've got some announcements to make as well, but let's get through. Do we have any more wins? I know we had a little disorganization on our end with the invitations for the call. So I'm expecting maybe a less people. We didn't send out the invites. Instead of, like, usually we send them out a few days early. We sent them out an hour early today. So see, Jeff, are you seeing any wins? Are we good to move on?
Well, I had that win today where I bounced a client from 2,000 to 2,500. They should probably be paying more, but the slower season's kind of coming in now. So we're kind of compromising for now and really going to boost them up starting in the spring when it starts to crack again. So that's a win. And I'm here in Nashville with Patrick and Fernanda. And
Jeff had a birthday recently. Jeff made it through another year. That's a win.
That is definitely a win.
All right, right on. So let's talk accountability first. Okay, so we talked about this a few weeks ago. I'm a big proponent in coming up with plans and then kind of working backwards. You come up with a goal and you work backwards, right? So a simple linear model would be, it's like, hey, I want to lose 90 pounds in the next 90 days. Then I'm going to lose a pound a day. So at day 45, I need to have lost 45 pounds, right? So that's great to say it, but what really correlation between making things happen and just like it being some idea that's going to float around in the universe and not happen, is putting a lot of intention behind it, putting stuff behind it. So I'm going to share this with you guys. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through this. And then anyone that wants to sign up for this, this will be what we're planning on doing is kind of like creating little accountability groups. So 3 to 4 people. We got a form for you guys to fill out. So you fill out this form and we're going to put you in a group kind of based on a little bit based on your location, a little bit based on some of your goals, trying to kind of match people maybe that have similar goals. So we're going to do our best to make that work. I've done this in a number of like high level coaching programs that I've been a part of. And, you're going to get out of it what you put in. For me, I got a lot out of it because I went all in on it. So if you guys are serious about having results for your goals, then like take this seriously. And, obviously it's not required. There's a lot of different ways to win in this game. For me, I think that this is a really powerful one that's worked for me. So, okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll talk about how this works. All right. Jeff, give me a thumbs up. Can you see my screen? All right, right on. Okay, so let's get this thing in here. We'll let Mr. Devin in. All right, cool. So this is our personal strategic plan, and I'm going to share this with you guys. We'll share this in the group. You guys will be able to download this and kind of build your own. So it's good to set goals that are kind of stretchy, goals that are not going to be real easy to achieve, because otherwise, like, what's the point of that? If you got 90 days and you say, hey, I want to lose 100 pounds, but over the next 90 days, I'm going to lose 6 pounds. That's not really a challenge. So do something that's out of your comfort zone where you're not going to have to work. You're going to have to work really hard to get there. Do something that maybe is 10% more than what you think you can do, and then surprise yourself, right? So we are an average of all the actions and decisions that we've made over time. Most likely, you're exactly where you deserve to be, right? Based on your work. And I get it. Everyone's got a different starting line, but that starting line will determine your decisions. It will determine your actions, and you're going to be an average of those, right? So personally, I was born with a lot of advantages. My parents were great to me. They supported me. I didn't have a lot of trauma to deal with. And I understand that gives me an advantage. And there's other people that are completely on the other side of the coin, right? But we all know life isn't fair, and we've got to do stuff to change it. And that's what this is about, is like, come up with something that's relevant for yourself. 90 days, what are you going to do to make a change, right? So there's 90 days left in the year. So this is, what are you going to make of the rest of 2021? So whatever you do in the next 90 days, you're going to be in a better, like, you have the potential to be in a better position at the beginning of 2022 based on your actions in these last 90 days. So that's what this is about. All right, so let's talk about this. And so I'm going to make this, so I'm going to post this in the group, and you guys can download versions of this or add this into your account. You won't be able to change ours though. So I just have some sample stuff in here. You can change this as much as you want. We've built in some calculations for you. So in this situation, this will calculate. Let me change this back here to 300. Okay, so you can kind of see everything changes, right? So this goal would be to read a 300-page book in the next 90 days. When I did this challenge, reading was a part of mine, right? And I do this regularly, right? So this is not a stretchy goal for me, right? Like mine might be read, 10 books in the next 90 days, right? So I'm going to total up the total page numbers, and I'm going to work from there. So if there's 1,000 pages that I need to read in the next 90 days, then I don't know what that is. You could easily go through and you can see that that's 76 pages per week. So this is how many weeks there are in 90 days. So that won't change. This is where you should be, right? So on October 1st, when we start, you're going to be at 0. And then on October 8th, you're going to be at 77 pages. And you kind of mark whether you're on pace or not, right? So we kind of go through this. And the key is, you're not always going to be on pace. But if you want to reach the goal, then you have to course correct, right? So the idea is, the people that want to be in this, you commit towards being on a weekly call with your accountability partners. I recommend that you guys kind of check in every Sunday. This could be a 30-minute call. And the other people's goals that are in your accountability group, the way that you do this for success is you kind of like take a stand for the people that are in your accountability group. So that means if Jeff and I are in this group together, let's pretend that this is Jeff's goal, right? And he is supposed to read 77 pages. And Sunday comes around and I'm like, Jeff, where are you at? And Jeff says, I'm on like page 60. And I'm like, Jeff, like, okay, what are you going to do to change to like get back on pace? You need to hold Jeff accountable almost like it's your goal, right? Because that's that kind of pressure. You're choosing what you want to be held accountable for. And as a partner in this accountability, it's important for you to take a stand for these people and they do the same for you. So this is more than just like, let's be friends and play nice. Let's really hold each other accountable and kind of push each other towards these goals, right? If this is not for you, then don't join it. But for those of you guys that want to take it serious, I think this is a really important part of it, right? So you go through, you've got this, you can build this out. This, like we just did a book because this is linear, right? We know, just like weight, we know that it can kind of like follow a process. If your goal is to add revenue to your business over the next 90 days, that's probably not going to be linear, right? Maybe that means that you have to build like, hey, I want to add $10,000 in revenue to my business. And I've got 90 days. So I'm going to build 10 sites. I'm going to rent them out for $1,000 per month per site. So you can't build one site every 9 days and expect that to get you to the spot. You probably need to build your first 10 sites in the first like 20 days. And then you have 70 days to rank it and find somebody to rent it, right? Because we know that's going to take time. So you need to, if you're going to choose something that's not linear, don't avoid things that aren't linear because it's just stupid. Like, right, there's a lot of, not everything's going to fit into this little box. So make it based on what is important to you and the goals that you want to accomplish with this. Okay, so plan it out. You've got to explain this. Your partners need to stand for you. You need to know, you got to submit these to your partners, your accountability group, so that they're following and you know your numbers. You almost want to hold it like it's somebody that somebody on your team, right? Like, hey, this is the deadline for this. Where are we? And when you're off pace, it's okay, but you need to have a plan to get on pace, right? So for instance, if I'm supposed to read 77 pages and I've only read 25, so the next week I have another 70 pages. So now I have 102 pages to read. So over those next 7 days, I need to read like 15 pages a day or something, right? So that would be my plan to get back on pace. Most of us, we get out of our goals because we don't course correct and get back on pace. So by having these weekly check-ins and working backwards from your goal, then we can put the course correction in place and start to move forward with this. Obviously, this is something that is going to be beneficial to apply in business, but this also is just a good life skill, right? There's tons of evidence that shows this planning and holding yourself accountable and setting goals has a much higher chance of success. Just writing something down will I think it was 15 times more likely to happen if you write something down. I can't remember what the exact number was, but going through these different books and stuff, I've heard that so many times. All right, so let's look at some other examples. We've got sites built. So this says, hey, I'm going to build 50 lead gens. How many weeks? 13. So, or how many lead gen sites are you going to build? 15. So how many pages per week, right? So 3.8. I didn't build this. I'm not really sure how that number came about, but I think you guys kind of get the idea of this process. Here's clients landed. So you've got 13 weeks. You need to be landing like 0.8 clients per week. So what I would do if I were in this and I was trying to land clients, because I know that's probably going to be a lot of yours, you need to understand what your conversion rate is. You need to understand like, okay, if I'm going to reach out to 100 clients and I'm going to get a meeting with 30 of them, and then I'm going to close like 6 of those, then like, okay, that would get me to 6 clients. So I need to plan out my day where it's like, okay, so if I'm going to do, if my goal is to get 6 clients and I know that I need 100 outreach, how many do I need to be reaching out to per week? Do that math, calculate it. If your numbers are wrong, course correct, right? So turns out I did 10 outreaches and I closed 0 clients. So now I'm going into the second week. Now I'm going to fall you further behind unless I do something. So maybe instead of doing 10 this time, I'm going to do 50, right? So I'm going to do 50 this week so that I can make up for the previous week and I'm going to account for this week. And it looks like it's taking me more outreach than I had anticipated, right? So that course correction is key. And then here's another linear one where like, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds over 13 weeks. So I'm going to lose 1.2 pounds. All right. So does anybody have any questions with this part of it? I think it's self-explanatory for me. Okay, cool.
I don't see any questions.
All right, right on. So this is part one of this. It's just coming up with the plan. Okay. Part two is you need to write about it. Okay. You need to put down this information. I want you to create kind of the mental image in your head of what this looks like. Okay. So this is like, hey, how am I going to achieve? So this is finishing a book, right? I'll make sure I'm reading a few pages every day. I don't really like this. I would probably make this more specific. I would say I'm going to read like, whatever it is, 12 pages. I'm going to be, and then like, as we go through this, you say, I'll be reading my book every day after breakfast. I won't start working until I've reached my goal for the day. I like this, right? Okay. Why is this important? This is a really important thing. And I would look over this stuff almost every day because you need to keep beating. If you choose the goals, you know why it's important. And somewhere along the way, we stop thinking about why this is important to us, or we make excuses and justifications of maybe why we shouldn't or can't do this. But when you keep it on the front of your mind that this is why I'm doing this, what is the result, right? What is the result from this? And I want you to kind of be a salesperson to yourself. Like we're our own best salespeople. We know the language and we know our triggers, right? So write this in a way that when your future self is starting to lose confidence, like motivation, encouragement, that you can talk yourself off the ledge and get back to where you want to be. You're the one who said this is important. Convince yourself, convince your future self, right? So you go through this and you're going to do this for each one of your goals, right? So you've got, this is it. And I want you to share this as well as the document with everyone on your team, right? So I know that like, hey, some of the stuff could be personal. So like, if you don't want to share that with your team, then maybe choose a different goal or whatever it is, or be comfortable with this, like being open and vulnerable on it. But the accountability comes from the other people on your team, knowing what your goals are and knowing what your deadlines and the pace that you should be on. All right, cool. Are we still clear? Can we clarify later if, okay, sorry, I'm not going to answer that one right now. Jeff, we got any other questions? Or are we good?
We're good for now.
Okay, cool. All right, so this is our onboarding sheet here. Okay, so we're going to do our best to match you guys up. So if you guys are interested in this, Mr. Hefe, I'm going to share this with you, Jeff, in Slack. And if you could maybe share this in the group.
Yep.
Cool. So share that in the group if you guys are interested. The deadline is, I guess, Thursday night. Doesn't give you a lot of time, but this is what we have, and I want it to be the last 90 days of the year. So that's what we have. If this is a success, then this could be something that we repeat often. Maybe we'll send out some messages to other people to try to pump this thing up a little bit. All right, cool. So that is the accountability stuff. I encourage you guys, if you haven't tried something like this, to jump in it. If you've got goals you want to reach, this is how it's been for me. How things have gone for me over the last like 8 to 10 years. This has been a big part of that. I attribute a lot of this to kind of like setting these 90-day goals moving forward, right? Just keep on like chunking it and baby steps until you get the results you want. The next thing I want to talk to you about is there some changes coming to Lead Generated? Okay, so for a long time, we have been avoiding putting the phone system into our into the software, and we made the decision that after some recent events, I guess, we're decided that we're not going to do that anymore, and we're going to be throwing the phone system and automations into Lead Generated. Okay, so for those of you that are concerned about migrating to possibly another area, this may mean like, hey, maybe we don't need to do that. So we have, over the last like 16 months, we built our own phone system. There's a ton of automations that are a part of this. So it could be like, hey, when a form submission comes in, then wait 7 minutes and send a text message. For those of you guys that have used Zapier, we kind of use their user interface as a template. So it's really easy to build these automations, and they work throughout our entire system. So it could be like, hey, when I move this pipeline, when I move this person from this stage in a pipeline, then automatically send a questionnaire that says this. And then if like, so there's a lot of if then logic, but it's really easy to kind of like build that out. How has this helped us with what we're doing in our business?
Well, certain clients definitely like to have the texting, for leads when they come in, because it just makes it easier for them. And the follow-up is really crucial also, because it takes a lot of the pressure off of them as far as the follow-up. So when you can put them into an automation automatically, giving them that personal touch, it seems like they're way more on the ball, the contractors, I mean. And I think that the conversions are way higher. So the contractors that we have as clients are, really, really happy with this feature. And the way we do it in our agency is when we have a client, we just give them everything that we've got. We don't like charge extra for little whistles and bells that we have in the CRM in lead generated. So, they get everything. So if they want to use that CRM to their advantage and manage their leads through the CRM, they get that. And if they don't, that's fine too. If they have a different, whatever makes sense for them is how they do it.
Let's try this one. Does that look like the right screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so I don't have a lot of dummy data loaded into this, but let's talk about what this is. So this is our automations area here. So you can create as many automations as you want. You've kind of got some templates in here. So this template would be for a review request. Okay, so it's telling me I can't text. All right, let's do it this way. I'm going to create a new automation. So you can make a blank one here. So these are different triggers that we've added in here, and we're adding in new triggers, probably 2 to 3 a week we're adding in here. So this is for a new form submission. So let's say a new form comes in, then I can go through and I can add a filter. So I can say, hey, I want to add this form submission. I'm going to continue with this if this is the case. So in this case, I'm going to say only continue with this form with the rest of this like automation if the form submission it's this company. Maybe I want to only continue if it's this company and the zip code is equal to like one of these 3 zip codes, right? So I could say 89107, whatever, right? So I can add in a comma separated list. So this is great for situations when like, hey, maybe I've got a client, or maybe I've got a website, and like in Phoenix, we had this issue. Phoenix is a huge area for someone to cover. So one client wants to cover the north and another client wants to cover the south. So we can essentially automate the distribution of the lead based on the zip code. You would just have to require that zip code on the form as it comes in, and then we could do this. So now I could say, okay, what am I going to do next? I'm going to wait because I want this to look natural, maybe, right? So I will say, I'm going to wait. What do I want to wait to? The next day, the next week, or some time passes. So if I choose some time passes, I will say, I'm going to wait. Let's say we'll wait like 7 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to wait 7 minutes until 7 minutes passes, and then I'm going to send a text message. And it's not going to let me send that text. Oh yeah, okay. It's going to make you, if you don't have a phone number, it's going to make you like get a phone number. In this test account, I don't have a phone number yet, so that's why it's popping up. So it's asking me who I want the recipient to be. So in this case, I'm going to make the recipient be the lead, right? So the lead that's coming in, that's the phone number I'm going to use. And we have these variables in here which make this really flexible. So I could say, hi, this is, I'll say the client name, right? So it's going to automatically substitute that in. And I'll say with whatever the company name is. I see that you filled out a form on my website. What are you looking to have done? Right? So I can add that in, and this will automatically, so let's say like, hey, this is Bob with Bob's Bear Removal. I see that you filled out a form on my website, but when Jim, for Jim's tree company, it'll say this is Jim. So we'll just like substitute in those variables. Okay. So next, when do we want this to happen? If you probably don't want a text message to be sent to this person at 3 a.m. So we'll just say it's going to happen between these hours, right? Between like 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. And maybe I only want it to happen on Monday through Friday, right? So you've got a ton of flexibility in here on when this stuff happens. So you can do this a lot of different ways. So this could be the first step. We could also, in the same thing, maybe we don't want to wait for this step. We'll go back up here and immediately we want to send this to our client. So we could do that by email, maybe. I don't know how you want to set this up. I'm going to use the default, whatever is the default for my reputation management, but I could use, instead of using the lead's email address, I'm going to use the client's email address. I'm going to select, I don't have any clients added into this test system. If I did, I'd be able to choose them from there. And I could say, hey, Tom, a new lead just came in, right? Here is their info. So then I could just drag in all over the things that I want from this, right? So you can make this however you want. So it gives you a lot more flexibility, right? Maybe I want to say name right here and phone. Okay, oops. All right, cool. So I can add in all these variables. I can add in images, right? I know that some of you guys are doing like trying to use some automation for GMBs. And that, I think that's a really smart idea. So one of the strategies you could be is like you create like your own company that manages your GMBs. And as the stuff comes in, like, hey, once we have an address, we're going to send out this postcard. And then if I send out this postcard, then I'm going to follow up with this person in like 5 days with a text message, or maybe, immediately I'm going to send them an email, and the email is going to have that picture of the GMB. So a lot of different ways you can use this system. You kind of have a full-blown CRM with a ton of follow-up and automation built in with this functionality now. So this is something we've been using for a while, and it's made a big difference. We're adding in additional actions as well. You could update a field status, right? So here's a scenario that could work really well for review automation. Maybe you set a field for your clients where it says like, hey, if the field status is equal to job completed, then put them into the sequence. So that could be one of our triggers. Like if you go back up here and we were to look at a trigger for, I'm going to get rid of form submission. And now my trigger is going to be, field status updated, right? So I could go here and I could say, hey, whatever field status I want. So maybe I don't have job status. Here we go. So I could say job status is equal to sold, right? Then I could perform some actions. It could be like, hey, welcome, right? So a lot of powerful stuff that can be done through the system here. There's like, we could go on and on with this, right? It's really cool. We've got the review sequence built in here too, where it's like, continue this option unless a review is submitted. So that's what this end if review submitted is. So you could put that in there and then add in like a variety of like text messages and emails that kind of follow up, right? All right, so that is kind of our automations, and obviously it's really tied into our phone system. So our phone system, let's take a look at this. All right, so there we go. All right, so this is not showing me what I want to see. Do we have any numbers in here? Okay, all right, cool. So this is our text messaging. We modeled this a little bit after Facebook Messenger, right? Obviously, they've got it figured out, but we kind of had with Facebook Messenger, it's a one-to-many relationships where it's like me or you sending out to a bunch of different people. This is a many-to-many relationship. That means there's like lots of different companies sending to lots of different people. So we've kind of got the two images here. I could go here and say, hey, send a text message. I select my company. I select the tracking number that's associated with the company. And then I can send out a text message directly from here. Additionally, you can make phone calls from this area as well. So if you wanted to select your company, your tracking number, you could make a call from the browser, or you can make a call from your phone. I would just need to come here and put in my phone number. So the way it's going to work is the call is going to be connected. It's going to call your phone. You answer your phone, you press 1, and then it will connect it. But it's going to connect it to from the tracking number to the person, from the tracking number to the customer, but it's happening on your phone, right? Is that clear? Did I explain that well? Is that making sense? Maybe a couple head nods here and there, if that makes sense. Yeah, cool, right on. All right, cool. So texting is super easy through this platform. We spend a lot of time trying to make this intuitive as possible. You can make your outgoing calls right from here as well. Our call flow system will allow you to build out all sorts of conditional logic on what happens when a call comes in, or like something happens can trigger different things. So let's kind of dive into this. So let's say the first thing I want to do, I'm going to record calls, and I'm going to set up a greeting, and then I'm going to dial, right? So maybe I wanted to call a few different numbers at the same time. I can add in as many as I want. I can route these calls to whoever answers it. So if first time they call, it gets routed to Neil. The second time, our phone system will look at that phone number and say, oh, this one was routed to Neil. Send it back to Neil again so they can continue this conversation that he's previously had. Or maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe let's get rid of that step. And this time I'm going to use a round robin. So the first one is going to go to these 3 different numbers. So I personally, in my agency, one of the first sites I ever built was in towing. And I have had an issue with other phone systems where I couldn't do round robin with multiple phone numbers in each set that it's being routed to. So we built this as a solution to that problem. We're kind of actively thinking about this. So I can have it go to these first 3 numbers, and then I'm going to have it go here. So how often will it go to each one? Well, that's up to you. We can use weighted distribution. So maybe I want like 70% of the calls to go to these first 3 numbers, and then I want maybe a little 20% here, and then I'll add in one more set, which is going to get 10%. It's got to add up to 100, right? So then I can route it however I want, right? So I can kind of have that distribution. Okay, so let's look at some more steps here. We can do a schedule, right? I could say, hey, on weekdays between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., maybe for my towing guy, he's got like night drivers, right? So I can have it do this, right? And then the rest of the time, I'll have it go to do this other thing, right? So really, really flexible with this. We can add in different branches of what's going to happen. We can have our menu system in here. So I could say like, hey, press 1 for this. So this may be a support, right? And I can add a second menu option in here. And this is going to be sales or something, right? So you guys get the point. Okay, so you have the option to upload a recording, or you can have our automated system read a message to this stuff. Okay, cool. All right, you can add in your voicemails here. What else do we have? If you use voicemail, it's going to be the last step in the sequence. You can use a tagging system, right? Okay, cool. So let's kind of like go back up here. So that's our call flow system. I am going to show you something that I think is going to be really valuable to you guys. This is going to be super cool. So in my agency, before we land a client, a lot of times, or even for certain clients, we're taking the call. We're taking the call for people. And I've hired a receptionist to handle those calls. Okay. So the way it works, all right, since there's not an incoming call currently, let's kind of show what this will look like. Okay, so let's say a call comes in. What's going to happen is this little guy down here, this is what we call our floating phone, is going to pop up and start rattling. So for those of you that maybe have people answering the phones for you and for your agency, this will be really valuable. Okay, so maybe they're not in the United States, right? Like we have people in the Philippines, they have a very good English accent, so they're really good for reception, right? So, and they're friendly people. So they don't know all the details of our company. So the call comes in, this little thing bounces around, it rings inside your browser, they answer it, and they click here. And now this takes them into this area where they can take notes on the call, right? So they can enter in the information, we've got over here a spot where you can have the company overview. So you can be loading in information about whatever the company is. Maybe you want to send a text message directly from here. It's like the person's calling and they're like, hey, can you text me blah, blah, blah. We can do that. It's an email from here. If you got your email stuff validated in here, you can have client information as well as a script, right? So all this stuff is popped in right here. Directly from this menu, you can click here to send it to the lead, and it's going to send it to the assigned client, right? So a lot of flexibility in here to make it easier for you when you are receiving those calls. Okay, cool. Any questions on any of this stuff? I can't see that.
Spencer had a question of how to pull people. This is a great question, by the way, Spencer. Thank you for asking it. How do you switch clients from Go High Level over into the system? Is there an easy way to import that information? How's that going to work?
Yeah, I guess let's make it really easy for people. Maybe there is a way to export, and then we'll just build something around that translation. I would love to make that process just as easy as possible for people, right? So, Spencer, I'd love to know, Spencer, what is that? Do you have the ability to export out of that?
Yeah, Patrick, I'm sure there is. I haven't personally looked at it yet.
Yeah, I think you need a college degree to use that software, right?
Yeah, dude, that's honestly, you and I have had lots of conversations about this, and that is what is so attractive to what you put together, at least for me. Because honestly, like tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, I'm jumping on a call with some guys from India that are VAs that are, Go High Level experts that I need to now pay because the system's so complicated. So for you to be able to drag and drop and create this whole system, especially that's so tailored to what we do, like I just want to focus on one area, and it's going to be within your system so that I can just work and be more productive instead of having tons of things going on as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it sucks when you start off trying to solve one problem and then you end up creating additional problems for yourself. I got a good buddy who's been on that other system for a while, and he's a techie person, and he said he spent like over 100 hours, and I showed him what we had, and he's like, I knew how to use this in like less than 10 minutes, right? So this is what I've been focused on, and like making it as easy as possible. What you guys are seeing is not version 1 or 10 or 20. This is probably version 75. Like we've gone through and tested it and played with it and tweaked it. A lot of you guys know that prior to starting like in this business, I was working as a software engineer, and I built a tool for a client in the nursing home space, right? We charged her a lot of money to build a tool like, not like this, but like of similar complexity. And she took this tool and she sold it, and she sold 12.2 million subscriptions at $18 a piece in the nursing home space. And I didn't have any of that, right? I just had my fee, which is like, whatever, it is what it is. It was a great learning experience. The reason that she was successful with it, though, she took it to Aetna and Blue Cross in these places like this. That's who she sold the subscriptions to. And they were blown away with this. And it was in a spot that was like, what is a less techie area than like nursing home stuff? So we had to really sharpen our axe during that time period and build things in a way that was super intuitive. So now it's great to take this product that has a lot of complexity and put it and serve it up to people that are way more tech savvy, right? And it's like an industry that I understand. And I think there's a lot of companies out there that are maybe software companies, like the product that you were talking about there, Spencer, where they're not digital marketing companies, and they build they're software companies. So you end up with this like really hard to understand complex things. I think we have a competitive advantage where we stand on the fence with like, hey, we're software engineers, but we're our first client. We're the first client of the software, right? So it's been built and tested by us, right? So super excited to get you guys in here. I know some of the questions are going to be, hey, what's the pricing like? I think in our most expensive plan, I think like it scales, the pricing changes as you add more numbers. But I think in our most expensive plan, I think the cost per number is about $3 per month. Okay. So, and then as you get more numbers, I think it goes down to like $1.50 or something like that per number. right?
Patrick,
So
one question for Shannon, and I'm sure other people are wondering about this. Were you required to port your numbers in, or are there integrations with, say, CallRail?
yep, we will be releasing an integration with CallRail, so you can, without using our phone system, you can use CallRail. A lot of the functionality will not be available if you use CallRail because we just don't have the ability to create that. This is a phone system that we built from the ground up. When you do it that way, you have a lot more flexibility on how you can construct things. And with an integration, we don't have that ability. I will tell you that our prices are cheaper than CallRail. We're undercutting them. And so for those of you that want to make the transition, you'll have more functionality at a cheaper price. Some of you guys, hey, we've been with CallRail a long time. We love them. We trust them. All this stuff, that's totally cool. We'll be integrating with them as well. So you can kind of tie that stuff in. We'll be integrating with some other numbers. Do you have the challenge functionality like CallRail? Yeah, we do. So we have it two different ways. One way is available now. Another way I think is going to be available on Friday. Okay, so let's talk about one way that could work. What if I were to come here and I were to just like put a menu in here that says like, and I make a recording, or I type in a message that says, hey, press 1 if you are a human. And then I go over here and I just I'll call this challenge, right? So that's the challenge right there, right? We already have that part built in. So that's easy enough to add in. We're going to be adding it in at kind of a higher level where you can just kind of assign it to a company. Let me show you some other things about how this stuff ties together. Okay, so let's say I'm going to add a new lead because I don't have. So Shannon, we already have this kind of in place. I just need to port it over into lead generated. So I'm going to say Patrick Shannon and all right. So notice all the stuff that's over here, like a dialer, right? Like I could make right here. So building the integration from the ground up means that we can have this kind of woven throughout the system, right? So we can have this, we have our conversation, so we can send emails and text messages right from here. I don't have texting, so it's not going to let me do it. But once I have that, all this stuff is kind of tied in throughout the application. If you look at our contacts, maybe I don't. Okay, all right, cool. So I could add from an automation right from here. I don't have everything set up for this contact that I need for that automation, but a lot of different parts and pieces like changes that you'll notice. Another thing is tasks. So now you'll have the ability, if you would like to send a text message, like, hey, I need this, like, so the task system just got a lot more powerful, right? So it could be like, call Neil on Thursday, right? So it's going to be the 30th. So I'm going to assign this to this guy in my agency, and it's related to this company. And I've got that in, but imagine that's Neil. All right. And maybe it's related. I don't have a deal in the pipeline. If I had one, I could tie it to that. I can send a reminder, and I'm going to send out my reminder tomorrow at 9 a.m. So then this phone number is the person that's assigned to here. So it's going to send him a text message, and it's going to be like, hey, Neil owes us money. Get on that guy, right? So now it's going to send a text message that says that. So this made everything a lot more powerful, right? So the task will come down like this with cards. We can take notes on people here. So, this is going to be like Neil's, maybe I'm trying to build rapport, right? Neil's fun things to do, whatever. And I'm just going to say like, he really likes golf. So maybe that will help me stay organized with this as I kind of continue my prospecting or whatever with this person. So we got the reminder system, we've got the tasks. So it's kind of like all really starting to come together. I understand for a lot of you guys, the phone system was a missing piece. I would have loved to have put it in here, but trying to I think that's kind of it for our phone system. I don't have a way to show the calls here. Unfortunately, the call system is pretty awesome. There's all sorts of stuff that would show up if there was a call coming in here. Any questions? Anything else?
Did you see Spencer's question?
For those of you using Go High Level that want to move over, what do you recommend to build landing pages on? ClickFunnels. I recommend ClickFunnels. I would also look into Unbounce, I think it is another really good one. Both of those can be tied in here through Zapier. We're going to be building in the native integration to both of those in the future. I think at some point, this is a big piece for us to add. We'll be building in our own landing page builder, but that might not be until the third quarter of 2022. So can we automate text outreach to a prospect? Yeah, Lawrence, if you want to unmute and just give me a little bit more details, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we have reputation management, for example, in this system, and the idea would be, how can we automate the reach out to some of those business owners? So maybe you could collect the phone numbers and insert that in lead generated throughout the contact, and then just automate some reach out. So you have a basic message that you will use to basically spawn those people with.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways you can do this. So your question is follow up or for reviews? Because you kind of pose both of those at the same time.
No, it will be basically to sell some reputation management to people, to monetize the tools that we have at hand.
Okay. So the question is how can we create an automated follow-up for the purpose of selling reputation management, right? Okay.
Yeah, well, reach out, not only follow up,
Okay.
Let's say that you scrap all the people on Google Map, and you take all the people that are below 3 stars and you want to reach out to them.
Okay. So I'm going to warn you about what you're proposing here, and the liability is going to be shifted from us to you. If you automate outreach on people that you don't have permission to do the outreach to, that is a big deal. I don't know how you guys do things in Canada, but I know in the United States, my buddy Josh was doing something similar, where what he was doing is on day one, after someone made a purchase, he had an e-commerce store, and after someone made a purchase, he would send a some sort of message that says, "Hey, thank you for your purchase. Let me know how you like it." And then 30 days later, he would send an automated follow-up proposing that they purchase something from him, "Hey, here's a coupon to purchase something else," right? And he got hit with a $5 million lawsuit. Okay. So he settled, and I think he settled in the 6-figure range. But the problem was the automation component for not having the permission to, and when you start combining marketing with automation for people you don't have the permission to, then it's an issue. Okay. When somebody fills out a form or something like this, then you've got permission. They volunteered your information, right? Our system has built into it, if you send a text message, it's going to say something about stop to stop it. And if they do that, it's going to pull them out of the sequence. So we built that in. We've also built in unsubscribe to the email messages that go out. So I'm not an attorney, and I know Jeff is an attorney, but it's he's not offering legal advice, but I know you've been looking into this, and we're kind of putting things in place to protect ourselves on our end and make sure that we transfer any liability to the users. So I would just warn you, and I'm going to build in some training once we understand exactly how it works. It won't be legal advice, obviously, but it will be hey, take heed of this. So with that being said, you could create what you want in the system. I would just be real careful with the way you do it, right? So you could add someone to an automation, and you can put whatever follow-up you want in place, right? It could be a text message. It could be emails. You could wait, you could put in wait times in here if I wanted to wait until the next week or the next day or whatever. So you have the ability to automate the follow-up. Okay, that's in here. But the responsibility to make sure that you're following the legal stuff is going to fall on you, because you're the one that's actually setting this stuff up. Laurent, does that answer your question? Okay, cool.
Other questions in the Facebook, mobile app development. What's the timeline for that to be delivered?
Yes, we have a functioning mobile app. I am just like beating it with a stick, trying to break it, and I've been able to break it a few times. So I'm trying to make sure we get everything ironed out. Let me see if I could. Yeah, I'm not in a position to give you guys a demo of that, but it's, I think the timeline, it's always hard to tell with developers, but I would say the timeline is less than 2 weeks. One of the things you guys will probably want when this mobile app comes out is the ability to make phone calls through the mobile app and receive text message, like that type of thing. That will not be in the initial launch. The stuff that will be in there, I think, is going to be really valuable to you guys. And this will be, your clients can install the mobile app, and then they can get push notifications for a new lead when it arrives. So as a lead comes in, then they can get a notification, not by text, by email, like a push notification, and then the ability to like write a comment and then have that comment go back to your phone and you get notified. So you can kind of have a chat about like a lead as it comes in, and you can set notifications and stuff like this for leads through the mobile app. So obviously we're going to keep on adding onto this more and more over time. I've been really frustrated with our mobile team. When I was working as a software engineer, I spent a lot of time as a mobile developer, and it's just been, this is part of owning a business. You're going to run into these situations. I think I mentioned on a previous call that I had found some developers that were like stealing time. I think we have a similar situation with our mobile developers. So it's been a nightmare. I just share this with you guys, not as an excuse of why this app has taken long, but as like, hey, as a business owner, we're going through these same challenges. It may look from the outside that this is easy, but as Jeff can attest, and some of the other people in my agency, like we struggle with this stuff in the management of people, when it's just like it's a constant learning experience that you have to be vigilant on the people that you're paying to make sure that they're actually doing the work that you want. I'll tell you that we're moving really away from like hourly type employment and moving towards productivity-based employment. So with the mobile guys, I think in the future, it's going to be like, I'm going to pay you when you reach this milestone. It's like you can work as many hours as you want, but you're not getting paid until this is like delivered, right? So that can easily be done in the lead gen world too. If you guys are running into any of these issues with any of your VAs and you're paying them hourly, pay them on a deliverable instead. That's my recommendation.
Can you circle back to pricing? I think I sidetracked you on that.
Yeah, let me pull up my pricing sheet here. Just give me 1 second. I know another question that's going to come later today is going to be like, what about outside of the United States? So we do have the ability to have phone numbers all over the world, including Australia, but not Germany. I think they have like some special stuff going on there. So for the people in the United States and a lot of other countries, this is the pricing that we're going to have here. Okay, so like I said, the top level is $45. You get 15 numbers, 500 minutes. This is the same amount of numbers, but you get twice as many minutes. Then you've got 30 numbers. I think we did our math wrong here because it seems like that is more expensive per number for. We might tune that up a little bit. We're going to make sure that this decreases as it goes on. And over here, you can kind of see, and this is the cost for an extra number. So if you're on this plan and you have 16 numbers, then you would pay $3 for an extra number. If you're on this plan, then you would pay $1.50 for an extra number, right? So I think it's really competitive. I went out and kind of like looked at most of the other phone systems that were out there, and like, I want to make it expensive for people not to use our stuff. So I think we're going to beat them on functionality. We're going to beat them on user interface, and we're going to beat them on price. And then the combination of those means that we just absolutely demolish them on value, right? So that's kind of the plan. We're just kind of maybe running a different model here that's based on like value and impact rather than trying to get greedy with all the numbers, right? And trying to build out a user base what's going to make a big deal for a lot of people. So that's kind of our plan. We'll share this pricing with you guys once we kind of have that migration in place.
What about porting numbers, Patrick?
Yeah, so there is something built in. I don't know if we built it into our dev account because we're not really porting the same way. Okay. I think actually we did. So you go over to here and you would go to port a number, and then you'll just say like, choose a new number, and you'll fill this sheet out, and it will take a little while for it to port. It's not all on us to make the porting happen, right? So like, for instance, if you're moving over from CallRail, then like CallRail has things they have to do. So I ported numbers over because I previously used CallRail. My frustration with CallRail just like grew and grew over time. And so far I haven't had any situations with CallRail where I ported numbers out and I had like downtime on the phone system, right? So, Neil, yes, you can. There's a post, I marked it as an announcement in the group, and that post talks about a lot of different strategies on how to make that transition from that unfavorable phone system that some of you guys know. Would you say it's just easier?
Go back up to Shannon's asking about Google Analytics. When will that be ready in the system?
Yeah, let's do this. It's hard to say because there's an approval process from Google. We've been able to get our approval for Google Analytics really quickly, like 48 hours on the other ones that we've launched this into. So I would say it could be ready as soon as Friday, but maybe Tuesday, right? Like we've got it, we've tested it.
Harry's asking, is the call system available in both lead generated and the other system and ready now? Is it ready now and lead generated?
It's not ready now and lead generated. And the other one is yes.
So we're working on it for lead generated.
Yeah, so it's going to really simplify things for us to not have to manage multiple systems. So
yeah,
it's created a big headache, but now we don't have to worry about that. So the advantage is to some of you guys like moving, this will no longer be there really, other than maybe you just want to be associated with the other one for whatever reason.
Yeah. So for me, in having used CallRail quite extensively, I guess if anybody else is familiar with the other platforms and seeing Patrick's walkthrough, I mean, the interface on this is way, way better. It's just so much more intuitive. And then you get the integration with all the other bells and whistles with lead generated. So it's almost like a no-brainer if you can get these numbers into the system. It's gonna allow a level of functionality that is way beyond what you've been able to have in just using these systems and cobbling them together. Most of the time I've worked with Patrick, we've used CallRail, but in getting the system into lead generated and really using that as my primary system is it just changes the game. It's way smoother. I just don't see any of the clunkiness that I see in CallRail and other systems.
Yeah. So Shannon, this is and whoever else, this is the Google Analytics integration that we have set up.
You're on the wrong screen, bro.
Oh man. How does that happen, man? I swear I choose the right one and then it just like choose two. Okay. All right. Can we see it now?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool. So you can see this is what it will look like once you connect your Google integration. So Google Analytics, it's going to work pretty similar. If you guys remember prior to the Google My Business stuff, you're going to have to authenticate through Google. You put in your email address, then it's going to pull it in. And then you're going to map the Google Analytics account to your company within lead generated, right? So you kind of like make that connection. And then what we're going to do right now, we kind of have it quarantined off in this area, the separate area for Google Analytics. But what we're going to be soon doing is allowing you guys to build your own dashboards. So then you can start pulling in pieces from all over the system, right? Like, hey, I want to see the traffic for these 5 companies, and I want to see my last heat maps that I had scheduled, and all this different stuff can be on, and you can make multiple your own dashboards. So that's kind of where we're moving towards. So this data is going to start to be pulled into other parts. So you can have more of a true dashboard that's going to represent whatever you want it to be within your agency and kind of get that high level view. So you can see here, we've got the users, we've got bounce rate, we've got entry pages. We've got it by device type, right? Where I can see 50% or 70% is desktop for this niche. And then we have other pieces in here too, like users. I can see how many users have come in here. Right. So I can see that I've had 71 users. The average session time is 31 seconds. There's my bounce rate. Here's my new versus returning. So you just got all sorts of like awesome data in here, right? So I could look at my sessions, the most important Google Analytics stuff, and we're gonna continue to fine tune this, right? We put it together in a pretty easy user interface. We can look at our traffic sources, right? This is by Google, all these different areas, direct. I don't know what Baidu is. Someone probably knows what that is. You can look at it by location. So if I want to see like where my traffic's coming from, apparently I'm getting some decent traffic from China, right? There's bots that are crawling my site. We've got some Canadians up there. This is probably Laurent browsing my site. And then we've got some of our people in the Philippines and India that are, working on our stuff. So they're hitting our site too, right? So we've got some site speed stuff in here that will help you identify issues. I don't know that this is completely functional, this tab yet, so we may remove that one. This one I know is functional. This is great information right here, because if you're seeing issues, like you can see that our bounce rate is higher on Safari than it is on these other sites. So like first I can determine how much traffic, and then if my bounce rate is a lot higher, there's probably like some browser related issue that's happening within Safari versus like on Edge. Look, it's better for whatever reason. And there could be more to the case to this, right? It could be the fact that, more people over 70 use Edge and they are not the ones that are going to bounce as quickly. But having this information will allow you to locate issues pretty quickly, right? And then we've got page level tracking to find out what pages are getting the most traffic, right? So this is the data from an AC site, and you can see that our oil furnaces page is getting a lot of traffic for whatever reason, right? So we probably have really, like, the content is probably ranked well for that one. You can kind of see the visitors at different times of the day too. So a lot of awesome information that's pulled right in here from Google Analytics in real time. What I want to do is I want to set up alerts too, give you guys the ability to say like, hey, if my traffic differs by more than 20% week over week, maybe we should get a heads up and we can look into what the issue is. Maybe something just happened to our site, right? Maybe like it didn't renew, or I don't know, but if you could maybe you can get a text notification when that happens, right? Of like, you set the alert and you kind of look at this and then you make a plan where you're going to get notified. It's hard, especially as we scale, right? We have all these sites that we built and we discover holes in ours. So for us to be able to get notified in real time when there's some change, I think it's going to be really valuable for us. And I think it'll be valuable for you guys too, right? Cool. Jeff, we got any other questions?
Let me see here. No, somebody was asking about numbers in Israel, and Joran says yes. I didn't know the answer to that.
Let me bring up that other sheet if I still have it.
Spencer says, wouldn't it be easier to get new numbers? I would say probably not. Depends on where you're porting from. And depending on if you have those numbers, already have citations, they're on your GMBs, et cetera. If you just have them on a site, it's up to you, if they're like new sites. But I've done that dance, and you're risking suspension on the GMBs, and your citations are all messed up and whatever. So there's a loaded question there.
Yeah.
And will the system be able to text people that had a phone call after X time asking for a review of the business, or other ways to get reviews for GMBs? That's Spencer, actually.
Yeah, so that would be pretty easy to set up in this. I could just come over here. I'm going to make a blank one, and I'm going to say phone call, right? So maybe I want to make this phone call, and I'm going to put in a status of equal to answered. And I'm going to add in another status that has a duration that's at least maybe 90 seconds long, right? So this is in seconds. right? Call duration in 90 seconds. Okay. So now I know that we've had a call, and maybe what I want to do next is I'm going to wait till, okay, so maybe this is like carpet cleaning. And if that's carpet cleaning, then the sales cycle is like really quick. And I know that my client, I don't know exactly how this would go, but let's say it's 10 days, right? So maybe they're going to like schedule it 4 days away, and then we're going to wait for some time to pass after just to be safe. So I'm going to wait 4 days, and then I'm going to send a text message. So what we built in here is I'm going to use the lead's phone number for this one, because that's the person that, hey, I want to get that review from. So like, hey, this is, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to drag in the company name, right? We want to thank you for picking or for trusting us in your recent service, something like that, right? We would love to have you share your thoughts on how we did. Okay, so, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to be only during this time period. So if it comes in after, so let's say like I put this person in here at like 2 in the morning, it's going to wait until this time period before it executes. It's going to wait until the next opportunity that's inside this window. And I'm going to include a link. So if I click on this link, you're going to get this slide out, and the link is going to be to the review funnel. And this will be, it's actually, this will be whatever the text is, like provide us. I don't know that this would actually work in a text. I know this works in an email, but I think this is kind of irrelevant because it's just going to be the link to the review. But that's going to be included directly in here, right? So we can't see it in this. We're building in a preview to kind of make it a little bit more intuitive that that's there. But when this is checked, this will be included in that message, right? So that's kind of how that works. And then I could, like, if they don't fill out the first one, maybe I want to follow up with them, you know, in an additional, like, we'll do the next week. So that's 7 days will pass, right? And then I can send them maybe an email, right? So for the email, it would be pretty similar. I can have this button here, include the button. For this one, because it's in an email, it's like almost like a web page. You can build out like the text, the button. You can use a review funnel. So this is also where you could get a link to the lead details. If you're sending this to your client, then you could have it send a link to the lead that's associated with this automation. So that would be a link directly to it, right? Or you could just like send it to some other spot, right? So with like a custom link. Okay, cool. Spencer, does that answer the question? I can't see.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, dude, that's absolutely amazing, because I heard that was part of Shiv's strategy, and I think it's absolutely genius in order to help reduce with GMBs.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, we should be collecting more reviews, and we should be like, when our clients, we work hard for our leads, right? We work really hard to build the sites, rank the sites. We're doing all these different things to get stuff in place. And then the job gets sold. That shouldn't be the end of the story. If we've done our due diligence and we've hired good clients who do great work, then they've built an asset, and we need to capitalize on that asset, because there's three reasons why we should get a review, right? First, it's going to make our websites rank better, so we're going to get more leads. Second, it's going to be easier for our clients to close things when they have more trust, right? So if they go in there and they got a bunch of reviews, then they're going to be able to have more trust. Third thing is clients can charge more. If they've got, like, Spencer, let me ask you this. Would you be willing to pay more? You go and you get 2 quotes. First guy shows up. He's got 1 review. It's 5 stars. The second guy shows up and he's like maybe 10% more, but he's got 675 5-star reviews. Like, if it's something that you care about and it's your house, I'm probably going to pay more. It's like, hey, this is the top dog. Like, if you're on Amazon, you're going to pay a little bit more for the better rated product a lot of times, right? So like, if we can express that to our clients and enroll them in the idea of like getting the reviews and why it matters, then it's win-win, right? So the website's going to rank better. They're going to get more leads, which is going to allow us to charge more. They're going to be able to close more business because they've got higher trust, and they're going to be able to close it for a higher amount. So huge to be able to kind of get some automation in place. So what I would suggest that you do is like this, like you build in a step right here. You make the trigger, instead of being a phone call, you get your client involved in this, and you make the trigger be a field status updated, and then you create a field called, like, I would make the field be job complete. And here's what you could do. I would build here. I actually just thought of this right now. This is pretty cool. All right. So
I was thinking the same thing. I was gonna bring that up. Exactly what you're thinking right now.
It's what happens when you hang out with a person a lot of time, right? Okay. So you don't do it this way. Okay. For you, we'll make it go back to phone call. Okay. And then we're going to keep this in place here where this happens. And I'm going to get rid of this one here. Okay. So we say, like, okay, this is more likely going to be a lead, right? So if this is the case, then what we do is we're going to send a text message. We'll just wait, like, I'm not going to wait 10 days. I'm going to wait like 15 minutes. And I'm going to send a message to the client's phone number, which, oops, I chose other phone number. Okay, I'm going to choose the client's phone number. So I don't have any clients in here. If I did, I could choose that client. But I'm going to say, in this message, I want to say, hey, this is Spencer. I wanted to follow up with you on the call that came from, and I'm going to drag in the phone number. Okay. And I'm going to say, were you able to close this job? Okay. And I'm going to include a link to the actual lead, right? So now they're going to get a text message with the link, and they're going to go right into that lead. And then I'm going to set the form field to be able to be edited by the client. So they're going to get a link to it. So I'll say like this. If yes, update the lead status with the link below to closed, right? So now we've got the automation in place to have our clients be updating it. And then I'm going to set another trigger. I'm going to set up another automation where when that field status is updated, to automatically send the review request so much. So now we're getting our clients, we're automating the process of getting our clients to update the status. So now we're getting real-time feedback on it. And then when we have that information, we know for sure we can go ahead and send out the automation for the review request, right? So that could be the trigger. So the trigger could be for the field status being updated to job closed. Then it sends that trigger. Does that make sense, Spencer? Cool. Yeah, I think we'll build that into, maybe we'll build that into one of our templates. So you'll see on these automations, if you go back over here to automations, there's templates in here. So I can choose, right? For some reason, this one wasn't working correctly. I know that it's working on our live version of this, but in this development area, this thing just seems like it's spinning. But we've gone through, and I've kind of like thought through the process of how I would do it. And we put those templates in place, and then you can just alter those, but it will give you a good starting spot. I think one of the things we'll start to do as well is, like, we will put in like a automation voting system. So like we'll include some automations, and then we'll have like votes that say like, hey, this is what I would do. Or maybe we can even do it where, like, hey, if you're a plumber, then this is like the plumber automation sequence that we're going to include with you, right? And then we could have kind of like a rating to see which ones are the best. And then that way we can kind of have groupthink to take these strategies and benefit from all of us, right? All right, so cool. Jeff, have we cleared the question queue?
Yes, we have, as far as I can see.
Cool. All right. Are you guys psyched about this? If you guys are psyched about this, throw some comments for us into the Facebook chat or into Zoom. I know I've been excited to have the potential to send this to you guys for a long time. So big things, right? We've got this, we've got the accountability stuff. You guys want to be a part of the accountability stuff, then fill out that form in the next like 48 hours and we'll get you matched up into groups. I'm not going to babysit you guys through the accountability groups. I'm going to put you in, it's going to be on you guys. I'm going to put the onus on you guys to do that. Cool. All right.
One last question. Spencer's asking, will there be the ability to share across accounts?
Spencer, can you tune in and share what? And like,
yeah, man. So like, let's say for instance, like with high level, I know like if Laurent has built this amazing funnel or this amazing piece of automation, instead of him just saying, hey, this is what I did, he can actually share that with me so that I don't have to rebuild it.
Yeah. So absolutely. We've already built that in other parts of our system. Like when we had the GMB, we gave the ability to share it between accounts where you kind of invite and accept the invite. So we're going to do the same thing. And I'm going to set this up with like snapshots of like, hey, this is like one snapshot and then you do it. And it kind of like sets it up for everything within the company. So it could be your automations are set up, your review sequence, all this, your funnel, all kinds of different things that, maybe when you switch from company to company, it will require some like tweaking with it, but it'll give you a starting spot that we can do. So that's kind of on our horizon as well. Cool.
Somebody wants to verify the timeline on the phone system and lead generated.
Who does?
Someone.
I can't remember. Someone. So I've got to meet with my development team and figure out how we can do this. But like I said, we've had this system working for a long time, and it's just kind of a question of dropping it in. We don't have to go through the building and testing. It's already built and tested. We've been using it. So it's a question of migrating things over into this platform. I'm going to talk to my development team in the next 24 hours, and we're going to see what that looks like. But I would say there is a non-zero chance that it could be 24 hours, but more realistically, it will probably be, by Friday or Monday, somewhere around in there. Cool. One more question. A lead generated subscription is required in order to use the phone system, correct? No, those are going to be separate subscriptions. So you won't need that. You can just use the phone system. It's completely standalone. I encourage you to use the lead generation system, though. It's pretty awesome. We're also probably going to be dropping some coaching stuff in here, like courses. So people with subscriptions, we've got an affiliate system that we've built out, and we'll be aggressive with our affiliate percentages for anyone that wants to refer business our way. So we've been testing that. We've got it in place. So a lot of different ways to monetize. Some of the training that we're going to be building into the system is going to be related to how to monetize with this, with like, outreach scripts, things like this. So pretty excited. It's been a long time coming. Appreciate you guys being patient with us. And Jeff, we got any more questions? Or are we good?
I'm going to send you one in chat. I'm not sure if you want to answer or not.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Harry, reach out to me with that question and I'll handle that one kind of privately. All right.
That looks like a winner right there.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's do the things we need to do to create some wins for the next week. I know that the call was a little bit like we didn't do our normal process for inviting people, and it was some of you guys maybe we didn't do what we needed to do. There's less people on this call because of that, I think, but it's important to take a step forward every week, right? If you guys didn't see my call last week, I highly recommend that you check out Daily Mind Medicine by Taylor Welsh. He's got 5 to 6 minutes podcast every day. Brilliant guy. One of the things that I listened to over the last week is he talked about, like, the dead outnumber the living 14-1. So there's 14 times as many people have died than are alive. And we're all going to join these people. It's a little bit morbid, but I want you guys to have a time frame on this. I want you to have urgency on moving things forward. Don't let another week slip by where you don't take a step forward in your life, in your business, right? Hold yourself accountable, whether you join these accountability groups or not, and do what you have to do to make things happen. All right. You guys have an awesome week. Appreciate you guys. See you in the group if you have any questions. Take care, my friends. Adios.